All right. So good afternoon, everybody. All right. I have a very special guest with us this afternoon. I'm excited to talk to him, and of course, we have Jason with us as well. Uh,
Hello.
but before we get started, really quick, I have a quick announcement and a great news for everybody, for all our members, actually. Starting tonight, our withholdings for the auto rebuy that for prior members, for members that've been with us for a while. So the Kaboo team is starting to release all those withholdings for the auto rebuy. So the next probably 7 to 10 days, you're gonna see your auto rebuy back into your Kaboo wallet. All right. So it'll take about a week or so to for the system to go through everybody. So whoever has the auto rebuy that's being withheld by Kaboo, it will be released back to you guys. So look for it. It'll be emailed to you, and they'll be deposited into your Kaboo Bitcoin wallet. This is only for people, of course, that are members of us. The people that just joined us recently, there's no auto rebuys withholding for you guys, so you guys don't have to worry about that. It doesn't apply to you guys. Only for the members that's been with us for a while. Okay, so I'm happy to see that, and look forward to that. And you guys pay attention to your Kaboo wallet and your email. All right. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Art Smith. Okay, he is a certified financial planner. He just joined us recently. I spoke to him many times. A very smart guy, and he knows about the market. He knows about crypto, and I'm excited that he came on board with us. So Art, can you just, for the people that don't know you, can you just tell us a little bit about you, please?
Okay. Well, I've been in financial services, I guess, about 20 years. Prior to that, I did a lot of traveling in Europe as a musician. But I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised, went to Temple University. For the past 16 years, basically have been doing financial planning. Started off at Wachovia Bank, worked my way up. Now I'm an independent advisor. I have a group of clients I work with. I do take new clients on depending on the situation. But right now, it's a pretty exciting time. I think the planets are aligning, so to speak. At least it's hard to predict what's going to happen exactly, but I think it's obvious that we're debasing the currency worldwide. And there's a large case to be made for alternative currency. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we're at. So I'm a hedge guy. I like to hedge positions to weather any storm, so to speak. So when I work with a client, that's what we're looking to do, weather any storm. So I'm very interested in where this is going. So that's why I want, it's great to, I'm glad Skip introduced us, and we can put our heads together and see what we can do here.
All right, awesome. All right, great to have you on board. And of course, you guys know Mr. Wong here, Mr. Jason Wong. All right. So
hello, guys.
So of course, we gotta touch a little bit about what's going on in the pandemic stage of the world right now. I think for out in Pennsylvania, I think we're looking forward to hopefully next week that we'll be able to do some business, right? And I think maybe not in Philadelphia. Philadelphia might take a little longer, but I'm hoping the rest of the state will be ready. And also, I haven't been out. I haven't had a haircut, and you guys like my haircut? My wife. I finally let my wife cut my hair this weekend. She's been trying once, but so finally I said, okay, honey, you can do it. So here it is. Here's my haircut. All right. Now, James, what about California? How is California?
So California has definitely chilled out a little bit. They're talking about easing restrictions as soon as next week. Now, that still means for restaurants that you're going to only be able to, run with 20% capacity, and you have to maintain that social distance of 2 meters, 6 feet. But they're inching their way back into normalcy, and it feels like the weather is so nice right now. I'm up in the Bay Area, that people are, just looking forward to getting going again. You see a lot more people out and about.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that too. Restaurants are starting to. I mean, they starting to do more restaurants are open now for takeout. I know a few weeks ago, it's really hard for me to find a place to get takeout even. Right? But now I see more restaurants are opening. People are outside. This morning I went for a walk, and there were a lot of people are outside of Starbucks waiting for their coffee. So yeah. How about New Jersey over there? Art, how's your neighborhood like? Hey, Art, you're on mute.
It's pretty relaxed where I'm at. I'm actually at the end of the road here, Osborne Island. We're surrounded by natural wildlife preserves here. So it's not your typical New Jersey shore point where everybody's, you can just reach out your window and touch your neighbor. So we're already kind of social distanced here a little bit. So everybody's pretty relaxed, people riding bikes, taking a walk, wearing masks, but, not too bad here.
Okay. Good. And what about you, Nia? Nia, did you get your haircut?
Well, the reason why they call me Nia is because my daughter was using my iPad for her study. So all my kids are home. So they have to log on to Zoom to get their classes every day. So one of my kids uses my iPad. So she changed my name, and I didn't even know it, and everybody started calling me Nia today. So, in regards to the haircut, my wife did try to give me a haircut a couple of days ago. It turned out okay, but I like my Vbit hat much better.
Okay.
Not bad for her first time. So.
Yeah, we got to get used to that. And actually, my wife now, I call her the Iron Chef. Her cooking has improved. I don't know, a couple 100% in the last couple of weeks. There's no choice. All right, I know we talked about it last time. I was really interested.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was really interested in what we were talking about before, and I think it will benefit our audience and our members about the CARE Act. All right, some high points. Can you tell us a little some high points of the CARE Act, especially the one about you can take some money out from your retirement?
Sure, regarding retirement. So if you review the CARE Act, you can simply Google it and page through it. Might be a good idea just to familiarize yourself with it. But basically, what Congress is doing is they're trying to create as much liquidity in the market as they can. So one way they've done that is, typically if you took a distribution from your retirement plan, regardless of what type, it could be a 403B, 401k, 457. It could be your IRA. It doesn't matter. If you're under 59 and a half, you will not be penalized the typical 10% penalty. The other caveat is you will be taxed as income on the distribution, but you can spread that income out over 3 years. So that's pretty powerful. I could, a lot of clients, may not have maybe the funds to invest in something like this, or, if they wanted to buy a larger package, they might not have $50,000 laying around in cash, or they may not want to spend it on something like this. So it gives folks another opportunity to look at other assets they might have, and even maybe hedge their positions that way. The only thing is, you can hold Bitcoin in an IRA, but you can't buy mining equipment inside your IRA. That gets a little sticky. But you could certainly, for example, you can do up to 100,000. They put a ceiling on it at 100,000. But let's say you wanted to buy a package of 25,000. You could take that distribution, spread that out over 3 years. It's really, depending on your particular situation, it may not be a big tax bite. Whereas in the past, if you took money out, it could cost you as much as 30%. So, I think it's a good opportunity for some folks who maybe don't have the money in their savings account, or they don't have a bag of cash under the bed or whatever. So I mean, it might create, it's designed for liquidity for people experiencing some, maybe have some hardships and things like that. But hey, what a great opportunity to use that money to invest. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Right. And actually, we actually had some people in the past that approach us about, can I take money? I don't have money right now. Can I take money out from my retirement account and put it into this? And I normally don't suggest that. Well, first of all, before you couldn't without being penalized.
Mhm.
Now that with this new act that you're not getting penalized, I still wouldn't 100% of course recommend that. But if you have a big large retirement account, you have a couple $100,000. If you take in like 2 to 5%, 2 to 5% out, it's not a big deal. You're taking a small portion, 2 to 5, which is a good amount of money. You're still talking about 5,000-10,000 if you have a large amount in retirement, right? I think that, 2 to 5%, it's okay. Right? But if you take it, if it's too much of your retirement, I definitely wouldn't. I definitely would not encourage people to put that much of their retirement money into something that is very volatile, like Bitcoin. Even though I'm very bullish, I'm very bullish in what Bitcoin's going to do. All right. So, but I'm excited about that, and I think we will get more customers if more of our customers and members know about that. Right.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's just another option. It's another option on the table. I agree with you. I wouldn't recommend people go out and liquidate their retirement accounts. However, for a 5% or less of your liquid net worth, it's it could be, a lot of folks might want to speculate a little bit with a small portion of liquid net worth. And I think the mining is less volatile than actually owning Bitcoin, but we could talk about that. But it just gives you another opportunity to do that. And I don't think a lot of people really know that's an option for them. So,
right. Yeah. So what about you? What do you have any people that come to you, Jason, and ask about that?
I have actually, and I have, and my wife and I, we have a self-directed IRA that we set up. So where we actually put our part of our retirement into data center side. So, but I like this new approach that you guys are talking about. Where people can actually diversify, and going back to what Art was saying, it's all about designing your retirement plan where you have a hedge, right? And I do see Bitcoin mining as a lesser of the two in terms of the volatility compared to just straight out owning it. And in the long run, you do get end up with a little bit better, a little bit more Bitcoins. So I do like that for the long term.
All right. Yeah, and talk about retirement. I just saw in the news today that the U.S. Treasury is going to borrow another $3 trillion, right? Or 2.999 trillion. Okay. So, what are your guys' thoughts? What are your thoughts? How is it going to impact of course, the dollars and the economy and ultimately Bitcoin? What are your thoughts?
Well, ever since Nixon took us off the gold standard, we've been devaluing the dollar since then. And, gold has always been the hedge in that situation. But we're in the digital age right now. And, you could, if you look around when you become a little more aware of what's going on, it becomes clearer and clearer that we're going to move to digital currency. It's already happening. It's just a matter of what currency is going to be the most popular, what's going to be the most adopted currency. Everyone's talking about it, whether it's Ray Dalio or largest hedge fund in the world, basically Bridgewater Associates. Everyone's looking at this. Ray owns a bunch of gold, but I'll bet money he owns a bunch of crypto as well. Warren Buffett's so old, I don't think it matters anymore. he's a value stock guy, and I think people, once they get their head around it, it's taking an event like this COVID-19. I think it's pushing things along. Hence, you get some of these conspiracy theories, but it is pushing things along. I mean, the fact that there's more, there's a lot of things lining up. You got this halving event. You have Elon Musk and Tesla. There's all these different factors going on, and I think it's going to happen sooner than later. In 5 years' time, everyone's going to be trading in digital. Cash is no longer going to be relevant. It will still be a currency, but as far as cash, I mean, basically the criminals will be using cash, I guess, because they're not going to be able to use digital currency. Digital currency has been linked with criminal activity, but however, it has a ledger that can be tracked. So the FBI or if you talk about money laundering and things like that, it actually is a truer, more transparent system. So it will be adopted by governments because they'll actually probably be able to collect more tax money this way in the long term. So there's a lot of things at work here. And I think it's just a matter of the public understanding it a little bit better and trusting it. It's all about trust. So as far as the US dollar goes, the trust is eroding in the dollar right now as we speak. And wealthy people are moving their assets to other assets, like gold, like fine artwork, real estate, other things like that. So it's happening. But the regular guy driving a truck, he's probably not going to have a job in a few years once the driverless trucks are out on the road. And then what's that guy going to do? He's not going to be able to drive a truck anymore. So we have a lot of things going on right now. And I think for folks that kind of miss out on this, they're really missing out on something big. Obviously I own all other types. I'm diversified personally, but I think you should own a little bit of crypto in some way, shape, or form. So either own the coins or I think I like the mining personally. So that's my take on it. The dollar's going down, unfortunately.
Right. You touch up. You talked about a lot of interesting topics, actually. One in particular, most people think that Bitcoin or crypto is used for money laundering, used by cartels, and for all these illegal activities. And you're correct. Actually, cash is the one that is used mostly by all these illegal activities. Cash is the one that is the hardest to trace. Right?
Exactly.
But many people think when they think crypto, they think, oh, the black market, the dark net, right?
Yes.
All that stuff. And Jason, actually, we talked about that before. I think mostly for the uneducated people in crypto, the people that don't really know about crypto, that's the first thing that comes into their mind.
Right, Jen, if I may jump in here quickly, we know that China has already started their government form of the digital currency, and they're actually already rolled it out in certain provinces and within China. They're doing a lot of real world testing right now in Hangzhou. But one of the biggest reasons why China rolled out digital currency is to fight actual corruptions. China has one of the biggest corruption problems because a lot of their government officials would accept bribe money. And oftentimes that's how businesses are conducted in China. And digital currency is a way for the Chinese government to fight corruption. So contrary to a lot of people's misunderstanding of, Bitcoin is for the criminals, is for the dark webs, it's actually quite the opposite. There was an article or several articles where Cointelegrams or they were interviewing law enforcement officials, they actually prefer criminals to use digital currency because they can trace it down to a very specific wallet. So it's quite the opposite, actually. Cryptocurrency is not only safe, in fact, it's actually preferred by the law enforcement because they can trace it down to who is using it.
All right. Good point. Very good point. Actually, we have a couple of questions from Facebook. One is from Evelyn. Say, speaking about it, like 401k, can you opt out of the 20% federal tax?
Yes. Yes, that's correct. The CARES Act basically allows the plan sponsor of the 401k. So your employer hires maybe a guy like me or my company to run your 401k. Let's just say we're using Fidelity as the plan sponsor. Typically in a 401k or 403b, the plan sponsor is obligated to withhold that 20% for federal taxes by law. And then you get assessed the 10% early withdrawal penalty if you're under 59 and a half. So the great thing about the CARES Act is even if it's a 401k or a 403b or 457 plan, the plan sponsor is not obligated to withhold that 20%. So that's why I'm saying, Google CARES Act and maybe just have a read through. We'll give you a lot of good information in there. We'll give you some of the little fine details that might apply to yourself. If you have an IRA, self-directed IRA, you can go onto your E-Trade or whatever account you have, and you can just move the money right into your account, into your checking account, and you control it because it's an IRA. So you can tell the custodian whether to withhold taxes or not. It's up to you. But there's no withholding obligation under the plan sponsor. So if you do have 401k, you're able to do up to $100,000, and the cutoff is December 31st this year. So you have until the end of the year to do it. I don't know if they'll extend that. It's hard to say. It's kind of a fluid situation here, but I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, I have clients that are sitting in cash in their 401k plan because they're so scared of what's going on in the market right now. So if you look at clients that are sitting in cash, well, hey, maybe you have some other opportunities to do some other things. So just some food for thought there.
All right, good stuff, Art. Another question from James. I can borrow or take out from my 401k plan withdrawal. Is that a question? Okay, James, I see that. I'm not sure if that's a question. You said I can borrow or take out from my 401k plan withdrawal.
Jin, I think I know what he's talking about. Okay. So yes, typically in a 401k, you can borrow up to 50% of the value. So let's just assume you have $100,000 current market value of your, basically mutual funds is what typically in a 401k. So most, not all plan sponsors, but most employers or plan sponsors will allow you to do up to a 50% loan. So you could borrow $50,000, and you could, depending on what it's used for, I think if it's used for a home purchase or home improvement, you can extend the term, the repayment term up to 120 months. If you do just a general purpose loan, you can do 60 months repayment term. So that's another strategy. Folks can use to generate some liquidity if they're looking to do some other things like improve, fix up their house. That's what a lot of people do. They'll take out a loan against their 401k. I advise doing that when the market's high. Now the market is relatively high. There are some risks here though. If the market goes down, that's one thing, but as you're repaying the loan, let's just say your employer lays you off or you get fired or the company just folds up. Well, guess what? You have to pay all that back. So if you took out a $50,000 loan and then next week the company folds up, well, guess what? They're going to sell the other half of your portfolio to pay back the loan. And if the value of that other half of your 401k happens to be less than what's owed, you're going to have to fork over the cash. So there are some risks to that approach. I look at case by case scenario, but you can make the case to take a loan against your 401k, maybe for a portion. I wouldn't do 50%. I think you might take too much risk there.
Usually, what's the interest rate when you borrow from your 401k?
So that's a good question. The interest rate is typically pegged to the prime rate, which is pretty low right now. But regardless of what it is, if it's 3%, 4%, 5%, you are paying yourself back. The interest gets paid to you. It gets tacked on to your loan. You're not paying the plan sponsor. You're not paying the employer for the loan. You're paying yourself back essentially with interest, but you have to put that money back into the 401k. So it's a good tool to use. I've actually used it myself back in 2008. I bought an investment property and I needed some more cash down. So I took 15 grand out of my 401k and I paid it back quickly. And, actually it was a good move for me because the market tanked. And by the end of March of 2009, the market was down at the bottom. And then I just repaid the loan at lower prices. I bet, that's kind of dumb luck sometimes,
Right. Yeah. Right. But luck is what we talked about last time, right? The harder you work and the more chances you take. Well, I would say usually the harder that you work, the more that you work, you get luckier. Right? Not so much about more chances you take.
Well, I got a good one for you, Jin. How about Wayne Gretzky? You miss every shot you don't take.
There you go. That's right.
The great Wayne Gretzky said that. And he's very, very, very correct. If you don't ever try, you got to take action at some point. You can analyze something to death, but if you don't do anything, it's going to be meaningless. So,
yep, like we talked about, during this hard time right now, there are people that actually, all these billionaires that I read on article, they're making more billions, right? These rich people at times like this, they make even more money. But the average person, the middle income, they all get screwed, of course, the middle income and the lower. But sometimes the lower income people, they get some benefits. But the people that get screwed the most, I hate to say, is usually people like us, the middle income, right?
Absolutely.
Well, it is what it is. So that's why we gotta try to get out of the middle income and get into the higher income bracket. All right, so let's do that, guys. Let's see if I have any.
That's right.
I do have a question for Gershom. He said, I heard that there are talks in Washington of giving everyone the option of taking $10,000 upfront and defer taking Social Security for 1 year after retirement. Have you heard anything about that? And if so, what are your thoughts?
The government's going to allow you to take $10,000 up front and then Social Security when? What was the question?
1 year after retirement. So you defer your Social Security for another year.
Well, that could be true. I'd have to research that a little closer. I guess what he's saying is if you retired early, you could take your Social Security early. Is that what he's saying? Asking?
Yeah, Gershom. Yeah, can you take that 10,000 upfront like now or a retirement? So I'm not. Yeah, so I'm not sure about that. I haven't heard anything about that.
I'll have to take a look at that. But to be honest with you, I don't like the sound of that. Because basically what they do is they amortize that that annuity over your life expectancy. It's their Social Security is a pension. So the sooner you take it, the less you're going to get, and you're going to lock that in for your life.
Right.
If you can defer Social Security at least until 65 or until your full retirement age, because if you retire at 62, guess what? You're getting a 30% haircut on the Social Security. So if your retirement age is 67, let's say, for example, you get 100% of your Social Security benefit that's owed to you. It's a good idea to go to socialsecurity.gov and just to have a calculator there, and you can plug in your numbers. You can plug in your Social Security number, and it will know all of the, all the FICA taxes you've been paying in there, OASD, OASDI. It will show your entire employment record. And, if typically when you're younger, you're not making much income. But as typically, as you progress into your career, you start making more and more income. Once you're making over 132,000, you're paying full credits in there. So, I recommend everybody do that. If you've been working for 10 years or more, go on to socialsecurity.gov, put in your name, your Social Security number, you'll get a login. It will tell you exactly what your benefit amount is. And it's just good to know what it is. But in this day and age, I don't, Social Security, even if you could retire, I would defer that till you get the 100%. Because people are living longer if you're in relatively good health. It is a personal decision. But if you feel like you're going to live at least till you're into your 70s or 80s, wait till full retirement age.
All right.
Because you're leaving money on the table if you do it that way.
All right. And if you guys work hard at Vbit, you might not even think about Social Security. That's the goal that we don't. The goal of for us.
Yeah, that's the idea.
That Social Security is icing on the cake. All right, hopefully that's what's gonna be. Because I'm not sure.
That's a question for Art. For Jin and I, we actually are pretty close in age. We're around 45-ish, right? So, do you think Social Security will still be there for us, even though we are, paying into the system right now? But do you think the Social Security would be there in another 20 years?
Well, that's great question, Nia. A lot of folks, I've heard this my whole career. Social Security is not going to be here for us. Baby boomers are going to spend it all down. But what we forget about is even if we are successful with this Bitcoin mining operation and we make a ton of money, and let's just say we're all millionaires. Well, guess what? Taxes are going up, buddy. They have a lot of tools in their back pocket that they can use. So they might say, all right, Nia, you're 45 now, but Congress voted that, when you hit, the retirement age full retirement used to be 66 for your age group. But we decided, since they came out with a pill that makes you live 25 years longer, you're not going to get your full retirement Social Security benefit until you're 75. So they can, they can do whatever they want. They can raise the age. And if you look at the actuaries that do all the numbers, the actuarial scientists, the numbers people, it's real simple. They know that they can raise the age by 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and the numbers completely change on the solvency of Social Security. So personally, I mean, if you're a gloom and doom guy, I guess you're going to say, yeah, it's not going to be here for me. And maybe you should think like that so you can build your own business and be personally successful and not have to rely on a government benefit. That's how I think. I don't want to have to be reliant on Social Security because, once you get older, you don't know if you're going to be able to work. You might not be able to work for some reason. Maybe your brain's not working properly. So, but as far as it being there, I would say 99% sure it's going to be there because they can tax us, they can raise the age, they can do a lot of different things to make the numbers work in the future. So that's my take. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but
I think it's going to be there too because they'll probably tax our kids more.
Yes,
right? Someone's going to pay for it.
Yes, exactly.
We pay for the generation ahead of us, and then the generations after us will pay for us. So But it is good to think that just as if it's not there, so we can build our asset, work on our business, and don't have to rely on it, right? And one way, of course, is our business and the Bitcoin business, and of course, is Bitcoin price. And speaking of Bitcoin price, it was a wild ride for the weekend, right? Bitcoin actually, I think, got to $9,400, and now I think came back down to about, the last time I checked, it was about $8,700. What are you guys? What are your thoughts about the Bitcoin price that's fluctuation over the weekends?
Jin, I look at the price, but I don't really pay much attention to the price, because I know I've been saying this many times. That's the whole reason why I like about mining versus just buying and holding, because when I mine, I'm dollar cost averaging it, right? Every day I get a little bit more. If it goes down to 8,700, I'm getting some Bitcoins, at $8,700. When it goes up to 94, I'm getting some at $9,400. I'm averaging it out, so I know in the long run I'm going to do okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like about it.
You're
what
right.
do you think, Art?
I agree with you. If you are long the position, I mean, we have all kinds of analysts making predictions and forecasts out there. If you look at the market cap right now, it does, you could make the case, if we start switching over to this digital currency, and it looks like Bitcoin is the front runner because it's been around, it has a track record.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about prices, we always look at resistance levels and breakout levels and all this kind of stuff in our business. So Bitcoin seems to have found basically a floor, it seems like, at around 7,500. I'm not saying it can't go below that, but it just seems like it seems to be in that range, has a floor there. And so there, you could call that real value. So the institutional investors are involved in Bitcoin, and institutional investors are the ones that can move the market. So, if we start seeing more mass adoption of Bitcoin or other digital currency, obviously it's going to push the price up. And if you're a miner, like you said, you're dollar cost averaging. So that's what I like about the option of mining. You don't have the volatility, and basically it doesn't matter what the price is, because it's like you're mining for gold. It's going to be worth $1,000 an ounce today. Maybe it's worth 1,800 next year, but you're building up a store of value. That store of value, long term. I think that's how you should look at it. Maybe if it hits 20,000 or above, then maybe you start taking some off the table if you need to pay some bills, or pay some things, pay some debt, things like that. But I would hold on to it. There's a good case that it could go at least to 15, I think. So yeah, I agree. The price is irrelevant if you're mining. Right.
I think so too. And I just looked at the price. It's about almost 9,000 again. It's 8,945. Right. So yeah, with mining it, that's great. You don't have to worry as much. But of course, it is interesting to look at. When you mine, I have mine about 4 Bitcoins in my wallet right now. So it goes, when it goes up, it looks really nice, and when it goes down, it doesn't look that nice. But
so if I need a loan, Jin, I should come to you. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, but
he has enough Bitcoins to loan it to you and me, Art.
Yeah. But what I think about the price is, over the weekend, and I think up until the halving, I see the price will continue to go up a little bit. In a lot of people, what they call the FOMO, fear of missing out stage, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen after the halving, and people or expecting or thinking after the halving, the price might double. So usually before the halving, the price usually goes up a bit, and right before it too. But however, after the halving, it might come down a bit. but even now it fluctuates a lot. It goes up and it comes down because, of course, you have people taking profit. It goes up to 9,000 something, 9,400, 9,500. People probably start to sell and take some profit off the table. And we start getting closer. It'll possibly stay around this price or might go up a little bit. But and then after the halving, usually after the halving, it goes down a bit. It goes in history. What happened during the last two halvings? That's what happened. Usually go up, kind of like inching up before the halving, and then after that, for about 1-2 months or so, the price will actually go down a little bit. And then afterward, it'll continue to go up. And like you say, all right, usually at the end of the year, 15,000 very possible, right? 14. A lot of people see 12 to 15,000. That's very possible at the end of the year. So that's usually what happened in the last two halving. So the people that are mining, you're right. Don't worry about the price too much, especially afterward. Don't expect the price to double right after May 14th, right, or May 12th. That halving is going to happen. So just don't pay attention to too much of the price after that, and then I do believe that eventually it will start to go back up to above 10,000. Right. So and especially when what you said earlier about mass adoption coming into play and all these institutions coming in, right? One of the questions, actually, several of the people that asked me before they come on board with us, they say about Warren Buffett, since now Warren Buffett is on the news a lot. One of the things is he said Warren Buffett is not into Bitcoin, right? He doesn't believe in Bitcoin, right? And I tell him that when the internet stock first came out, Warren Buffett did not believe in internet stocks, right? And now Tesla, there was just an article about an interview with Warren Buffett about will you invest in Tesla? His simple answer is no, right? He never did, and his simple answer is no. But Tesla, in the last 10 years, Tesla was started around price about $20, $19 now it's above $700. So it's one of the best return in the last 10 years. And but Warren Buffett onto that.
Hey, Jin, on that note, I mean, Warren Buffett's a value investor guy. He's looking for dividends. He's looking for earnings. He's looking for a traditional company that's going to pump out some cash and reinvest and build out their a growth opportunity. Obviously, Tesla's a huge growth opportunity, but they are just they're burning through cash, and Warren Buffett doesn't like that. And it's basically the investors are, when investors are pumping cash into this project, if you will. And I think he'll be successful. I mean, the lithium batteries, the home solar, there's so many different applications that Tesla's involved in, not just the cars. I think the cars are like the sexy thing that, everybody can kind of get into. But the real story is the energy storage. The energy storage is where the real market is and where the real money is. If they can figure out I guess an efficient and economical way to store energy, and they have that lithium battery you can put in your house, and then we start harnessing solar. I mean, that's huge. And I think Warren Buffett is I think he respects Elon Musk for his accomplishments, and I think he likes the idea of the business, but I think he doesn't want to get into that type of business because he's a traditional investor guy. He buys rail, he buys insurance companies, Geico, the little chameleon guy, that everybody. So it's, that's Warren Buffett. He does what he knows. If he doesn't know the business, he doesn't get involved. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I just piggyback of Art. I think that's a great point. You look at Warren Buffett's track, record. He's never invested. I read the article that you sent out, Jenna. He's never invested in companies like Google or Amazon. but then he's also he's a big investor in Walmart, I believe, right? And insurance companies, banks. So he's a very traditional value type of investor. So these newer ideas, it doesn't mean that he won't do well. I mean, he's obviously done really, really well. It's just a different type of investor. I always believe in diversification. You have to have a hatching strategy in place. And I really look at Bitcoin as one of the great option or opportunities for us to kind of hatch against our portfolios and diversify the risk, overall risk.
Yeah, you're right. Warren Buffett. Yeah, he is an older guy, and he does he's going into the more traditional type investments, right? And also, and that's what's going on with some of these companies that are having. Some of these companies are really having a different take in crypto. And we're talking about mass adoption. Just like how J.P. Morgan, I don't know, you remember J.P. Morgan, the CEO, what's his name? Jamie
Dimon.
Jamie Dimon.
Yeah.
So he was saying when Bitcoin was getting popular, he was saying that Bitcoin was a fraud, a scam, right? And now 2 years later, or 2-3 years later, his J.P. Morgan actually come up with their own cryptocurrency. They're very much into cryptocurrency. They even have their own cryptocurrency. Now you might say they're different, right? You might say Bitcoin is not backed by anybody. There's no backing for Bitcoin, whereas their coin is a stable coin backed by them, by main big institutions. But don't forget these so-called stable coin, cryptocurrency, or whatever coin you can call it, it is popularized and started by Bitcoin. Without Bitcoin in the first place, I don't think there was any altcoin or stable coins that they call it. So it's somewhat, to me, it's somewhat of a hypocrisy when they're saying this Bitcoin thing is a fraud, and trust my coin. All right, let's look at my stable coin. It's backed by my company, so it's a good thing.
You're absolutely correct, Jin. I don't trust those bankers any more than you do.
and you know what? That's why Bitcoin came out. Actually, it's because that mentality, that sentiment that you just expressed, Art, right? After the financial crisis back in 2008, and
speaking of that, Jen, quickly, if you guys remember back in 2008. When the government came out with $700 billion of the stimulus, we were all dropping our jaws. Like, wow, that's a lot of money. Like I would never heard of. Mm-hmm. And today, and I think Art was just quoting it. But before that new round of borrowing, they were already at 2.4 trillion. And what was the new amount again? Art, I forgot. Was it another?
They're talking over 5 trillion. And I'll bet money it goes higher than that.
And they already say that the Treasury Mnuchin is saying that they're going to have an unlimited stimulus for as long as the market and is needed. That is crazy. If 700 billion, little over 10 years ago, we were dropping our jaws. Can you imagine today? I mean, What is the government doing? It's open checkbook.
Well, hey, Nia, they don't have a choice. They have their back against the wall. They're running out of tools to use.
Right.
And they're afraid to just let it burn, basically. Let Rome burn, right?
Right.
When your creditors, they can't let the U.S. government go bankrupt. If it happened, it would just be a travesty. It would take everything down. They can't let it happen.
And I agree.
If in 2008 and 9, you could have made the case, and a lot of people did make the case that, what, hey, those companies, let them go down, let them go bankrupt, and let the new players emerge, the smaller players. I mean, but they felt like, no, we need to put a Band-Aid on this and fix this. We don't want the average person, they just thought it would cause too much social unrest, I think. And they just want to kind of keep everything smooth and running. And they basically accomplished that goal, but that's all assuming our GDP can continue to pump out at a certain level. Now, they've been challenged for years, and a government likes about 2% GDP. If you can do 2% GDP, you can kind of keep a cap on inflation, but you can put a floor under deflation. Deflation is worse than inflation, because let's face it, if Jin's selling his house for 300,000 and I think, 2 weeks from now it's going to be 250, well, I'm not going to buy it, and neither is anybody else. We're all going to hang around and wait for it to go down, and then nobody's going to buy anything.
Right.
And that's deflation is just like a black hole. It's just everything's going to get sucked down the hole. And we've had deflation. I think they talk about it in the 1800s. There was like some boom and bust periods. I've done some reading about this. It's very interesting, but where we're at now, $5 trillion, we're already $1 trillion in the hole. If you take GDP minus the debt, we're already in the hole. So, what happens if you charge all your credit cards up to maximum limits, and then you're only bringing in like 20 grand a year in income, you're going to go bust. You can't pay the piper. And so I think that's there's a lot of things going on now with this China thing, because the Chinese own a lot of U.S. treasuries. They own a lot of U.S. government bonds. So, Trump's not going to want to upset China too much, because, they're our creditors, So, there's a lot of dancing going on right now. It's going to be interesting how it plays out. But it all plays, it all does favor this, if you're a gold guy, load up on the gold, load up on the silver. Silver is actually a good option right now. Own some hard assets, and I think crypto should be in the portfolio.
I totally agree. I think the stars are definitely lining up. With the unlimited QE, quantitative easing, or the government just printing out money left and right, that makes a stronger case for diversifying your portfolio and going into precious metals, or put some of it into crypto as well. So
yeah, very good point.
Very,
very good point. There's lots of analysts out there that even a lot more bullish on Bitcoin than us. There's some analysts think Bitcoin is going to hit the $1 million mark in 5 years, by 2025, right? And some analysts think next year in 2021 it might hit 100,000. All right. I am not that bullish. Even it hits next year, hits 30,000, I'm like really, really happy. And in 2025 it hits 100,000, I'm like, I'll go ballistic. But the more we talk about it, the more how these governments start to print out more money, the more I feel that these analysts might be right? They might be onto something. So
yeah,
so
Jin, it is not just the U.S. that is printing out money. The EU is printing out money. The Britons, the British are putting out money. All the central banks, around the world are printing out money. They're, like Art was saying, they're afraid of inflation, but they're even more afraid of deflation. So they're also, in China's case, and I think that one of the strategy is to actually give out kind of like a digital coupons to their citizens, so that they have to go out there and spend it, because it has an expiration date on it. So they are afraid that, people are uncertain about the future. So if they give them cash stimulus, they might hold on to it, save for the rainy days, which, that's what they're afraid of. So they actually turn it around and they start issuing these, digital coupons almost. So you have to go out and spend it. Otherwise you won't get the benefits of receiving it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And another great use for digital currency.
Yeah. So So in China's case, that's what they're doing. They want to make sure that their citizens go out there and actually spend the stimulus money that the government issue, and get the economy going again. So
Okay, great. So this has been great, guys, but it is 6:30. Our 60 minutes is up. Any last thoughts or last words? And also, I'm going to see if there's any other questions on Facebook.
I have a question from Evelyn over on YouTube. She's asking, for employees to close the 401k, stop contributing, is there a penalty or is it dependent on the employer?
I wouldn't think there's a penalty for closing it out, but my question would be, why would you close it out? If you work for an employer that does a match, so to speak. So most employers will do a 3% match of your income, of your contributions. So, I would say, hey, do at least the match. If you're really concerned about the market, maybe you just put it in something very conservative. You could put it in, the stable fund or the federated cash fund if you really want to. But if your company matches your contribution up to a certain percentage, take them up on it. You're leaving cash on the table. Now, if you want to take money out of the 401k, there should be no penalties for doing that. But I would leave the account open if you still work there, obviously. I mean, if you're employed by that company. So I hope that answers your question.
All right. I think that's about wraps it up for us. So thank you, Jason, and thank you, Art. A pleasure to have you on, and looking forward to have you all of us again soon, Art.
All right, cheers. Thanks, everyone.
James,
all right, have a great day.
Thanks so much, guys. Learned a lot. See you next time.
Thanks. See ya.